Americans are curious to know if the AFT access was in line with CDC past practice and if their influence had a positive or detrimental impact on America's children.
We know that kids learn best in person. We needed clear science-based guidance to keep students and staff safe in school. And yes, it made sense to consult with the CDC.
The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic recently pressed the American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten on pandemic-era school closures and the mounting evidence that they damaged our children's learning. Let's bring in the committee chair, Ohio Congressman Brad Wenstrup. So Randy Weingarten, the head of the teachers union, appeared in front of your committee. How would you characterize what she had to say?
Well, I would say that she set things up for a lot more questions to follow. First of all, the American Federation of Teachers clearly is a political organization. They're not a medical organization. And it seemed more likely that the CDC, for some reason, was seeking their guidance rather than what she tried to claim that they were seeking guidance from the CDC. And the internal memos have revealed that. So with this hearing, it's just going to lead us to have more transcribed interviews with Randy Weingarten and possibly with other members of the AFT. But look, the CDC opened the door for the American Federation of Teachers. It was uncommon access, and it wasn't medical guidance. Randy Weingarten couldn't talk about any medical people that she could quote or name that gave them guidance, but she claimed they talked to some medical people. They, in their internal memos, were very clear that they wanted some triggers, and that's their word. They wanted some triggers for closure. Never was it about triggers for opening. And, you know, you think about this. You had doctors and nurses in the highest risk category taking care of patients actually with COVID, and you had teachers and students that were at the lowest risk, and they weren't going back to school. So I guess the teachers are saying that they're not essential when they should have been saying education is essential. We all know that. Everyone agrees to that. We're essential to making that happen, and we need to get back into the school with the kids. And that was not the case. And they said that they wanted to be vaccinated first before they would go back. As a nation, we made them a priority, and yet it still didn't happen. And while many schools were open, who suffered the most? Especially those with low income. Especially children in low-income families. And across the board, they suffered academically, physically, and mentally, all while others were open, including the kids, my kids that were in school.
I want to play something from Betsy DeVos, who used to be the education secretary. She says the teachers union is a political organization. Listen.
These are political organizations. It's very clear from all of their actions during the pandemic that they were holding kids hostage to political demands, taking advantage of a pandemic. It was one thing after another, extorting to get more and more money, more and more power and influence over the system that they control.
Do you agree?
Well, it certainly looks that way. I mean, you can go to their internal memos, you can see the communications, and we're going to look at more communications between them and the CDC. We've asked for a lot of those, are still waiting to get some, but we may have to use subpoena power for certain things. But you know, what you saw across America is more people going to homeschooling, more trying to do whatever they could to get into a private school. And it makes the case even more for school choice. The other questions we have through this whole process is, where did the funds go that went to the schools? It seems that a lot of things went to non-COVID related items like new gymnasiums and more liberal type of classroom courses or over virtual, whatever they were trying to do. I'm not saying this was going to be easy for schools and teachers from the beginning, but as science came in, we knew we could do it safely. Others were doing it safely. And I'll point out one other thing. Under the last administration, before we had control of the House of Representatives, the Democrats never looked at any of this. And what we're trying to do through this whole process is have an after-action review, lessons learned, and be able to predict maybe a pandemic in the future to try and prevent it, be prepared for it, and protect ourselves from it.
It's pretty clear that our kids have been badly hurt by everything that happened. Ohio Congressman Brad Wenstrup. Congressman, thank you.
Thank you.